Boom, boom, bop. We're back. It is Pints and Perspectives. Hey, I'm just remembering that I used to open these shows with a song.
You did, yeah. And most recently a country song.
I think it was always countries.
Well, that's fitting for this episode if you would do it.
Well, I forgot, and now I feel like it's too late.
Well, if you're a fan of the show Yellowstone, you would know that most of the cowboys on that show drink the beer we're drinking today. Because you ain't having fun unless you're going to the banquet.
Wait, really? They drink Coors Banquet on Yellowstone?
Yeah, and they call it a Yellow Jacket, which I'd never heard it called that. I don't know.
Do they mix it with something?
No, they just, when they walk up to a bar, they go, "Can we get a couple of Yellow Jackets, please?" And
interesting.
bring a Coors Banquet.
Is that common?
I had never heard it called that before, and I've seen people drink Coors Banquet my whole life.
Hey, they're doing, Yellowstone has all these spinoffs.
Yes, sir. And I have watched all of them.
You know they're filming one in Galveston.
Yes, 1923.
Oh, so you know this.
Oh, dude, yeah. You're going to struggle to find a more hardcore Yellowstone universe fan than me.
But they haven't started production yet.
Not on this, but that's for season 2.
Okay.
They're doing all the filming right now, and then they're going to move into production. But actual Yellowstone, they're closing the show.
Right.
That's starting in middle of November.
Right.
And then they're closing that one, and they're relaunching whatever's left of it as a show called 2024.
So, what I was going to say about that was apparently the municipality, the city of Galveston, is like super concerned about the amount of fan traffic that they expect to come through Galveston.
Yeah, dude.
During filming.
This show gets 20 when it's airing live. Airing for the first time.
Yeah. It
gets 20 million viewers plus a week.
It's like a national phenomenon.
Yes.
I have
Country's cool again, bro.
As I will say, look. I'm not a fan of the show. I've never watched Yellowstone. However, one of those prequels had Tim and Faith as the stars.
1883.
And I love that show.
Yes, it did. And they played those characters.
The acting.
Incredible. You watched it?
Every episode.
Oh, my God. You should. If you love that show, you should watch 1923.
I'm going to. Yeah.
No. Season 1's already out.
No, I know. I'm going to. I'm saying I'm really, really interested. I like the historical. Okay, let's talk about beer.
No, it's a great show. Okay, so that show, Coors Banquet. We're having Coors Banquet because, unfortunately, there was some miscommunication between me and my co-host, and I provided one incredible beer that has us both a little tipsy.
I mean, we just ate lunch. I'm good.
And so this is what's in my fridge. Was this or Keystone Light? The reason those are in my fridge is because
it's the same beer, right?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, no, not at all.
Is Keystone brewed in Keystone? Because this is brewed in Boulder. No.
Keystone is brewed in Colorado.
No. This is brewed in Golden. Boulder, because they brew them in different places in Colorado, right? There's Boulder. There's, I gotta look it up. Look, Golden, Colorado.
Yeah.
So Golden.
And Keystone is in.
Why can't I open this? Is it the hot honey still on dripping from my? No, I'm not going to be filmed here with you opening my beer for me. I will not. Kevin will never respect me again.
Adam said I will not bitch out on opening my own beer. I'll open your pickle jar, honey.
Okay, I got it. I finally did it. I'm a real man.
The reason that it's only Coors products.
I don't want to drink this out of a glass. Oh my God, that's good.
It's way better out of a glass, bro. I promise.
Does it say that? 1873. Okay, whatever. Beer.
Yes. So they have found traces of glyphosate in a lot of the beer.
At Miller, you're saying?
Well, at Miller and a lot of the Anheuser-Busch products as well. Or the InBev conglomerate and subsidiaries.
That's like every beer on the shelf.
Anyways, cheers, buddy.
Oh, cheers, buddy. Banquet time. I'm going to put it in a glass.
Having fun unless you go into the banquet.
I'm a big Coors fan. You know this about me.
Yes.
I like them silver bullets though.
Yes, I do know you're a Coors Light.
I'm a Colorado fan in general, except for Colorado Springs. I feel like that part of Colorado, minus the Air Force Academy, should just fall off the map.
Oh, really?
It's because they're the only conservatives in the state. So
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
like, also they're like, not only are they the most conservatives in the state, they are like the most conservatives in the nation. They're like extremely radical.
I don't know about that.
Yes,
bro.
dude. Like Sean Flint goes and like goes to arenas there.
Who's Sean Flint?
No, Flint.
Foyt?
Yeah.
The worship guy?
Yes.
That dude goes everywhere.
So does the Turning Point guy.
They're probably standing on the corner. They're in Chicago.
Charlie
right now.
Kirk, isn't that his name?
Yeah. So this is leading into our topic though. This was a really
I guess it kind of is.
This is
I didn't think about it.
really good segue.
Yeah.
But first we must rate the beer.
Yeah.
Are we're on a 10 scale, right? 1 out of yeah.
I mean, we've never given something a 10.
Yeah, and it ain't happening on this episode either. Not why I asked. I wasn't looking for the top of my scale for some banquet beer.
Yes, it's 0 to 10.
Okay, but this is your staple. So what are you gonna give it?
Yeah, so that's what I would say is like I almost feel like this beer needs 2 categories. Like I need to be able to rank it as a beer just in existence with every beer, but then I need to be able to rank it as a macro brewed beer.
Okay.
Like I need to be able to give it a net score and a gross score.
Do it.
All right, so the gross score, it's just up against every other beer.
Be honest.
I would say it's like a 7.2. Like
my God.
It's like I don't know. It's like it's just a good staple, but it's also not like my preferred style of beer.
I'm going to give it a 5.5.
Oh,
on that scale.
I would not give it that. Well, okay. Well,
5.5.
actually, I should give it a 6.8. I should change my mind. It's just like a good average beer. Yeah, I should change mine. Now, it up on its net score. I think it should push like a 7.8, 7.7.
Okay.
Because like what are you comparing it to? Like it.
Yeah, domestic lights. But this isn't a light beer, so I shouldn't do that. Domestic.
Right. You should be comparing it to like Budweiser.
Domestic pilsners.
Yeah. So that's like Budweiser.
Which
that's like
trash.
Milwaukee's Best.
Trash.
That's Miller
High Life.
Yeah, Miller High Life, I guess.
Modelo.
Modelo could be in that.
But Modelo's going to beat it every day. Modelo's my go-to.
I think I think Coors Banquet beats Modelo unless you dress it.
Okay, fair.
If you put salt and lime in it, Modelo will beat damn near anything, especially with as hot as it is.
You know,
in the H-Town.
I'm gonna give it a different net categorical rating.
Okay.
For me, it's gonna be football drinking beer. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's about to be that season, bro.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, when it comes to football drinking beer, that's where I go with a Coors Light, a Modelo, I don't drink any Bud products anymore.
Oh no, dude, I don't drink any Anheuser-Busch products. The other day, I tried to buy a case of Natty Light. Oh my God.
No, sir.
It was
no,
terrible.
Sir.
It made my joints hurt, bro. I know that sounds strange, but it made my body hurt worse. I think it's the glyphosate.
Okay, I'm gonna give this beer a net score on the football on the tailgate scale.
Oh, tailgate beer. Oh, dude, it's got to be through the roof.
If we're still doing a 10-point scale,
yeah.
It's gonna be. You know what? Let me take another sip out of a glass.
Yeah, that's out of a glass. You're not hiding behind anything. That is the beer.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that an 8.
Yeah, dude, it's football beer. It's probably good.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
You're not gonna find it in a stadium.
No, of course, no. The
they
tailgate, the tailgate beer. This is what you bring into the parking lot. Then, when you get into the stadium, you drink Coors Light.
Yeah.
Or in Houston,
Modelo.
Our stadium's here. I switched to St. Arnold or Carbach.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, Carbox's an InBev product now.
Yeah, I try not to remember that.
Well, then
What's the ABV on this boy?
Not much. It's like
Got to be like 4 or 5.
yeah, it's like 4.6, I think.
I don't see it.
5.0.
Oh, all right.
And we just had probably a fucking 19%er on
This
the last
is a
episode.
solid. This is a solid 8 on my tailgate scale.
Yeah, dude. It's a
solid.
good.
Ooh,
good
and
beer.
fresh out of the ice, I know would be.
Oh, when it's that cold, it's way better. This just came out of my beer fridge in the garage.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, when it's like that cold, way better.
All right, what are we talking about today, Cullen?
We're gonna talk about the Bible.
Ugh.
But yeah, see, everybody,
The actual Bible?
Kinda.
You mean we're going to talk about theology and reference the Bible?
We're gonna talk about the way.
See, I'm a theologian, not a biblical scholar.
Oh, me too, dude. Me too. I mean, I read the Bible because somebody got to, but no, I would much rather talk about the Bible and what other people have said about the Bible than actually read the Bible.
Just boring.
But what I think I want to talk about is the way the Bible has been, I guess really the best word is weaponized.
Oh, there's a lot of ground to cover on that topic.
Yeah, but specifically politically.
A lot of ground to cover on that topic.
Yes. It's it's a bad day when you define a category and then you define a subcategory to go deeper and your field didn't really shrink that much.
No, this is good. This is good. It's very timely as well.
Well, yes. So, and the reason I'm thinking about this is obviously because the election is coming up, but the Bible goes through phases where it changes its place within governmental structures. So if you think about when when the Torah is written, more than likely in the period of the judges, they're under what could only be described as a theocracy.
Okay.
The God is governing via people.
Which is a crazy concept, but go ahead.
For sure, because people just be like, God told me that
Right.
all you men need to give me a wife.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. That's what every Christian
Why is
cult
that always God's
Yes.
order?
Yes. That's what every Christian cult says. The leader says, you must give me your women.
Y'all can't have sex, but I can.
But I can.
Every
Yeah.
single cult ever throughout time in history. Yep.
Yes. And then there's that great moment. I would actually call it one of the climaxes of a story.
I see what you did there.
Throughout the Old Testament. And it's when the people like rebel against the theocracy and they want a king. And that's like when Samuel does this whole thing and they go through Saul and it's terrible and they get David and he's, the like poster child, which is so wild because he like rapes and murders.
Why do I hear the bleating of sheep in my ears?
Yes.
Isn't that where? See, I got a little Bible still in my
You
brain.
got some in there. That's in the tank. It's deep down there.
Indoctrinated.
So, and then by the time you show up in the New Testament, they got no control over the political power.
Bull. Wait, who's they? Sorry, who's they?
The Christians, they're the
okay.
outcasts.
You went from Jewish to.
Oh yeah.
Okay, okay.
I went to the New Testament.
Okay.
yeah,
But you did
to the New Testament perspective.
Okay. All right, fine.
The Christians had no.
Because I'm like, Herod murdered all the newborn babies, and so that's pretty powerful political. New Testament political power wielding there, but
True.
Anyways,
and the Sanhedrin and the Jewish leaders definitely still had political power.
They're absolutely a political entity.
But
when you're talking about the Christians,
in AD 70, they burnt all that shit down too, and it
absolutely, they all went to build the Roman Colosseum at that point.
Right. So, what I'm getting at is like the conversation of even just the Bible in its contemporary time periods throughout its writing has seen a lot of different governmental perspectives.
Sure.
And the power that it wielded over those governmental positions decreased rapidly. Like,
What do you mean?
well, to the point that in AD 70, when Nero burnt it all down, they had no political power.
I see.
All the capital was gone.
Sure.
And they had none from AD 70 till AD 330.
Sure. Right. Constantine.
Which is, well, that's Constantine, and that's the Council of Nicaea.
Right.
So, and then they start getting some back. And in that point, nobody that's actually writing the Bible is talking about the Bible as being inerrant. Like, you got maybe one reference in Psalms, and then you got that one thing in 1 Timothy.
Which isn't about the Bible.
Right. Well, to be fair,
not
if
about
it's
the New Testament.
Yeah, it's about Torah, if it's about anything.
Yeah.
So you don't really have anybody talking about, like, inerrancy or, like, it being the end-all, be-all of how you guide or practice your life. Nobody's talking about that. Until, I don't know, maybe you have, like, what, Athanasius. He's got, like, a couple one-liners about it. You have Augustine, who's got a couple. Well, Augustine's after that. Augustine's 400s.
But the it being an authoritative text is not necessarily. It's not necessarily equated to an inerrant authoritative text. Yeah.
Yes.
Inerrancy is that's because inerrancy is a modern development. Objectivity is an Enlightenment concept, right? I mean, yeah.
Well,
at least philosophically.
Maybe you would say it gets its original birth in humanism. That's where objectivity really begins to.
Is that not Enlightenment period?
Well, it's maybe like one philosophical movement before, because it's like humanism and then romanticism and then modernity and then postmodernity.
Okay.
But
I'm just saying inerrancy feels like the whole deal with inerrancy is like this is true unequivocally. That is that is a statement. That is an objectivity claim, right? That's an
objective claim.
Yeah, an objective claim. Thank you. Jeez.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely an objective claim. Well, and we might also say, I don't really think. Yeah, I don't think nobody's thinking about truth in terms of like scientific, data-driven truth, mathematics-driven truth versus like narratival truth.
Right.
Like truth is truth no matter how you derive it. And oral tradition was every bit as truth as anything else. And that's how the wise men found Jesus, was through the oral tradition of learning astronomy. And I mean, I guess there was a little bit written by that point.
It was also the Jewish slaves in Babylon who brought their prophecy into the Babylonian culture. Anyways.
That is definitely one theory. Yes, I have heard this hypothesis.
That's my theory.
But so once you get to like 330, well, I guess in the New Testament, the Christians are really this like oppressed people, and they have no political power. And then, the Jewish church crucifies Jesus. And then in AD 70, Rome destroys the temple, just annihilates all the Jewish tradition in Jerusalem, takes it over, conquers it. And all of Christians and Jews...
Vespasian.
Yeah,
Flavius Vespasian.
Diaspora. Oh, yeah.
The Roman emperor who does it.
Yes.
But,
and then
his son Titus is technically the one who... anyways. See, I got my history too. I might not know my Bible, but I know my history.
Yep. So then we get to... They from that point on, they live as an oppressed minority.
Scattered.
They are the diaspora. They are the dispersed. They don't have a home.
They're getting eaten by lions in Rome.
Yes, literally. Yeah, they're part of the games. And so it's not until 330-ish. When did Constantine die? Because he does it on his deathbed, right?
I don't know. No, he does it.
No, he like gets baptized on his deathbed.
I thought he like saw the symbol in a battle and like, I don't know, man.
Well, no, that's the other story.
Dude. Baptized in 337.
Yeah, and he died in 337.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Constantine baptism, Constantine death.
337.
Yeah. So he like gets baptized on his deathbed, and it makes being a Christian cool for whatever reason.
But is it, or was it a...
Also, he dies at like 47 years old, or like 50 something. Like
Flavius Constantinius. But it's okay. One theory is that he does it because they're dealing with a lot of oppressed people rising up against them because they're Rome. And so he does it to unify the nation and put everybody under the same, right?
I think that's...
Man, I don't know.
Well,
there's so much. There's so much.
History is beholden to the author.
Yeah, right.
Which is always a biased perspective because it's the most elite people group.
Well, and this Constantine thing is like a big deal. Like Christians are always... We always point to this moment.
Well, and some Christians don't accept it.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a totally granted thing. But so in this, I would say, other than the Great Schism, wouldn't you say this is like the most pivotal moment for the church?
Oh, there's that resurrection thing.
Well, I mean for the like historical church post like Jesus' ascension.
I mean, yeah, okay. I could probably come up with another one, but
the Reformation?
But no, I'm saying between 300 and 1000.
Yeah, 1054. What are you going to come up with? You're really going to struggle. Because you don't even get the Crusades till 1100.
Yeah, in terms of political power, I guess there's not really a lot.
Yeah, so you have this moment where this kind of happens, and Constantine makes being Christian cool, which...
But also he makes it the religion of the land. So
right, so it's like also, everybody, it's like mandated.
It might be cool, but it's also the law.
Right.
It's like speeding, or following the speed limit's cool also if you don't.
And so then they go all the way up, like being this political powerhouse from this point till the Great Schism in 1054. And the Great Schism literally happens over politics. Yep. Am I wrong?
I mean, yes, power. Yeah, I mean, there's some theological debate, but yes.
I mean, is it really, though? Like, the theological debate is about how you develop power positions.
Okay, you win, yes.
So, yeah. Look this up. It's called the Filioque Clause, right? I haven't forgotten all of this.
Yes.
Look, Filioque.
Controversy.
Yeah. It's a debate between the Western and Eastern Christianity, so it ends up being the Greek Orthodox and the Roman Catholic Church at the split, and it's called the Great Schism.
But this is only one of the two major issues, though. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I thought you were It's a clause in the Nicene Creed that they're doing in 330, and then it's finalized in 338. Mm-hmm. No, 383. I don't remember. That's gone.
Anyways, that one I can't remember.
Version 1 and version 2.
Yeah, there's two versions. I think it's 383. 338 and 383. I think is what they are.
That sounds right.
But the filioque is a Latin term meaning and from the Son.
It's about where the Holy Spirit comes from.
Right. Okay, go ahead. Do you want to take this part?
Well, the Nicene Creed prior to this, okay, how deep do we want to go on this? Okay, so
not that deep.
Yeah, so the Nicene Creed, it's a Latin thing. So like, does the Holy Spirit proceed just from the Father, or does the Holy Spirit proceed from the Father
and the Son?
And from the Son? Then the mediating position that was presented to us in our academic study is through the Son and through the Son.
Yeah.
And through the Son is like a medium.
It's almost like the Son is the medium of how it's dispersed or something.
Yes. So the Greeks wanted to keep the original language.
They did not want to add and from the Son.
Right.
They wanted a singular power source.
And from the Father. Yeah, yep. Right. So the Greeks, the Eastern Church wanted to keep the language of the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father. The Latin West wanted to add the clause and through or and from the Son, but that's just one issue. The other issue is also about authority.
Yes,
and who is in charge of making decisions for the church. And the Greeks said that it should be a collection of padres, of fathers.
Yeah.
It should be a collection of fathers. That the leadership of the church is actually like a group of people, multiple popes, whereas the Latin church wanted there to only be one singular leader, one singular power would be the Pope singular. And so that was the other main issue, is that there was this theological debate on the Nicene Creed, but also like how leadership, how the ecclesiology was formed.
And we need you to see that connection, because Constantine literally died in 337, and then this Council of Nicaea happens in 338. Well, 330, and then it's kind of... Actually, let me just look that up instead of...
Well, it's also...
But they're all happening in conjunction.
But it's also because the Roman Empire continued to expand.
325.
And as the Roman Empire continued to expand, it continued to take in new ground and new cultures and new people.
Yes.
To the point to where the Roman Empire had expanded all the way east to India. And when you got to Turkey, at a certain point, Rome was in control of too much land, and it had to put its locus of power closer.
It needed a place.
It needed a place.
It needed a strategic place.
So that's how Constantinople was formed in Turkey, which is now modern-day Istanbul.
Yes.
And so that actually leads to, at a certain point, multiple popes, because you had a leader in Rome and a leader in Constantinople.
Yep.
And so this eventually leads to even greater division of like liturgy and ecclesiology and theology, and ultimately you end up with two different churches.
Yep. And in the middle of all of this, and mainly proceeding right after, you have the Crusades.
Yes.
Which is also, I don't give a shit what anybody says. I don't give a shit what Billy Graham says. It's about power.
Of course.
That entire war is about power.
Because the Levant was very fertile and a great shipping lane.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It was about economics.
It's strategic. It's about strategy, economics, yes. So they split, and all of it, I think we've argued pretty well, is about power.
Uh-huh.
And you keep going on, and pretty much the Greeks haven't really changed.
Oh, that's on purpose.
Right.
They still follow the same exact liturgy from 1054.
They're the same. It's been the Catholics that have had all this change and other shit, and it has always been about power.
Mm-hmm. Control.
Like every time. And I would even say that that's true for the Reformation, right? That's Martin Luther's whole thing, is he's trying to decentralize some of the power back to the people in the church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would also say that's true for John Wesley and Charles Wesley, because now the Spirit can be in you, right? You can do all these things, like you have direct access.
It's almost as if these reformers were fighting for a democratization of the faith.
Right. Yes, I would say that. And that's why, like, everything once it started was very Anabaptist. Like, your preacher was one of among you, and when something happened with you and you were disqualified, you just sat your ass back down in the pew and we elected the next one up. Mm-hmm. And then you rehabilitated in the congregation, in the community, and then if it ever came your time again, you got to try again. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was a very democratized way of doing church. So, but now, even at that point, it doesn't take very long for it to become, well, and maybe the distinction between this is because from like Martin Luther is 15, 17, mm-hmm. Isn't that right? Mm-hmm. And so from him to about what the Wesleys are in the 1800s, they're like 1815-ish, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
well, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're in the like early 1800s.
You're talking about the Methodist movement?
Well, I just mean the work of the Wesleys in general.
This is great audio. 17s.
Oh yeah, 1707. Okay, so yeah, and where would you put the mark of modernity? Like 1850?
Gosh, man. I don't know. No, earlier. God, man, I should have researched this before.
I would say 1800, 1850 would be the mark
before
of like
that,
modernity.
right?
No way.
Google it. When did the Enlightenment begin? It's in the 1600s. 1685.
Okay.
So
right.
16 to 17 is the look, end date 1815. So 200 years.
200 years.
100, yeah.
So during this time you have the Martin Luther stuff, and it's like this weird democratization. They're going against empire and all the same things that the New Testament is going against. That's why you call it the Reformation, right? And so then it goes, but probably around the turn of the century, 1900s, right after the Enlightenment's like ending and we're starting into postmodernity.
World War I happens.
Well, before the World Wars is what I was about to say. We get really, like, we've already come through the Industrial Revolution, and we're really getting to what I would call the commercialization of the faith.
Okay.
Where we're now starting to pick charismatic leaders, and we're starting to turn and run our churches more like CEO. Our pastors are more like CEOs of companies rather than shepherds of flocks. And when you get to that point, oh shoot, no, that's not true. We missed the formation of the SBC, dude, and slavery.
1860s.
Yeah, dude, that's got to be a huge marker, because I don't give a what
that's
anybody
very American.
says.
That's a very American marker, though. But yeah,
well, for
uniquely
sure.
American.
I guess that's true. Well, it's not uniquely. Slavery was worldwide, but it was most prominent here.
I'm saying in the 1860s, the only people who were advocating for slavery as a divine right were Americans.
Were the American Southern Baptists, yes.
Yeah,
And that's why they split from the Northern Baptists. Anyways, and so, yeah, from that point on, especially since if you think about it, all these people that formed the Southern Baptist Convention were people that owned big plantations and slave owners.
Well, that was the deal. Yeah. And yeah.
So the Southern Baptists very quickly became a national powerhouse.
The big question was, could you be a missionary and a slave owner? That was the question.
That was the question then.
And the Southern Baptists said, yeah.
And they were using the Bible to do so.
Absolutely.
They were using, it's
Paul
not
advocates, slaves.
Slaves, submit to your masters.
Stay in your position.
Yeah.
It's better for
do
you
your
to,
thing.
That's why people hate. This is why Paul's a problem. Anyways, go ahead.
Right. So it's not hard for them they don't got to look very hard to find the Bible as an ally.
Sure. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, right.
And so then they use it as a political weapon. And we didn't even talk about, like we missed the Dowells, the Scopes trial.
Well, that would be in the early 1900s.
No, that's in the late 1800s, right?
The Scopes trial? You're talking about evolution?
Yes.
1920s.
1925, yes. So maybe we should move there next. Once again, it's the Southern Baptists who are helping fund all of that and do the big fight against evolution in that.
Well, they were advocating for evolution.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
It's this same time that they are the leading powerhouse in Prohibition, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Same time.
Because that's the 1920s?
Yep.
Yeah. 1920 to 1933. Mm-hmm. So it's all this time that these Christians have become this political powerhouse that controls all these votes and all this land and all this power.
Education and control education, controlling consumption.
And they're using the Bible,
yep,
ironically, very manipulated in its scope of how they're using the Bible.
I'm not sure that's all that ironic, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, fair. But to manipulate how they're communicating these truths. And then what would you say? Like, fast forward to like
the 40s. In God we trust.
World War II?
Post World War II. In God we trust. So post World War II is Dwight D. Eisenhower We win the war. We think we're God's favorites. This is the rise of Billy Graham. This is the rise. This is when "In God We Trust" is added to the
dollar bill.
Yes, but more importantly, the what you call it?
The pledge.
The Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. All that happens in the late 40s, early 50s, post World War II. And so that's also when prayer in schools starts becoming like institute, like law.
Yeah.
Early 1950s.
Which that shit, I think we'll get there. But
and what's also happening in that decade, the late 1950s, is suddenly black people want to not be abused and murdered.
Roe v. Wade happens in 1955.
Well, then there's Roe v. Wade, and there's all these other things. So the late 1950s, early 1960s, you get a little bit of pushback on this religious control of, post-war evangel. Also, the high point for church attendance in American history was like 1957.
Yes.
And we've never had church attendance that high ever again since then. And then the 60s come along, and you start to have the civil rights movement, which is also actually led by faith leaders.
Yes. Martin Luther King Jr. was a preacher.
So again, using the Bible, wielding it as a tool of political power.
Yes. That's a great point.
But even the liberals are doing this.
Yes.
Sorry, you want me to keep going with this historical train?
Yeah. We got a few more minutes, maybe like 3 more minutes. We can roll on this.
I mean, then after post 60s is the 70s, and you have the Jesus movement, and then you have the big youth movement.
This is where you get youth camps and all the things.
That's where it kind of starts to happen. The 80s are just a decade of debauchery, mainly because the
drugs.
Well, the finances of the country, anyways. And then the 90s, you get like the real youth group movement.
Well, and this is when in the 90s is when you get the big conservative swing.
Well, it's the mid 80s. It's pre-Reagan. It's George Bush. So Reagan comes before Bush, right? So pre-Reagan, the early 1980s is when you have the rise of Jerry Falwell.
Yep.
Billy Graham's still doing his thing, but really it becomes a concerted effort to marry evangelical
daughters
religion. No, I'm just saying religion with conservative American politics, because people
that had already happened in the Prohibition.
Well, but Jerry Falwell started started something called the Silent Majority. And there was this very well-funded political machine run by Falwell and these other guys in evangelical leadership in the 80s.
It's a think tank.
To basically just turn all evangelicals into Republicans.
Yes.
And primarily to get Reagan voted into power. And then he does. And that's where Reaganism comes from. And then suddenly Christianity... Oh, sorry about that. And then suddenly Christianity also... In those days, to be a Christian, to have a theological conviction of Christianity, you then also suddenly had to have this like very capitalistic, anti-communist kind of, because
that's from the Cold War.
Yeah. This is the same time. It's the same time period in the Cold War, right? Because like communism is bad,
and so now you have evangelicalism or like conservative Christians wrapped up as an embodiment of capitalism,
conservative
and then
politics.
You have communism and like Russia tied together.
Right, and that's where the liberals are coming from. And so this is also where like you trickle-down economics is introduced.
Yep.
The war
that's a Reagan thing.
The war on drugs.
That's a Nancy Reagan thing.
This is, right, and so and interestingly enough, Ronald Reagan was an actor out of Hollywood.
Yes.
And so that's it's very similar to today, actually.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's probably a great stopping point for this one. Once again, we'll pick up maybe with that comment next time. But I hope you leave this podcast with more questions than you have answers.
Like, why am I listening to this podcast?
I hope you leave with more questions than you have answers. Because isn't that what we should all be doing? Pursuing curiosity and why these powerful people are doing this and sharing with us limited knowledge.
I will say that the most important thing a Christian in America can do is to engage their critical thinking skills and examine the line in you personally. Examine the line and the lack thereof of a line between your politics and your faith. How do those two things collide, combine, become the same? That's a big question.
And that is what we'll tackle next time.
Holla.
See you.